There were times when guys that were still alive were tagged dead because the doctors and the corpsmen spent their time trying to save those that they thought they could save.
And when you coming in on a ship and you see all the gun turrets swinging around pointing at you, and you're still a minute away, you know there's not much chance of surviving that.
And the other thing that always bothered me was burying them alive.
Quite an array of sound. Listening to torpedoes and bombs explode while a band on a battleship is playing Star Spangled Banner.
To this day, in the quiet of my own thinking, I can hear the wicked whisper of the Nambu machine gun.
The early days on Parris Island were very, you might say, hectic, to the extent that we had about 8 weeks at the most to get our platoons ready to ship out. The average day would be from 0500 to 2200 at night. We had 2 weeks on the rifle range. I don't care what some people might say, but that rifle was his lifesaver. That rifle was like their sweetheart, their sister, their mother. Hey, it was either kill or be killed. We had to teach them the ability to handle themselves in such a way that they were able to protect themselves as well as help protect their own fellow Marine. And that's the important thing about that, saving a Marine's life.
I was on the USS Tennessee at Pearl Harbor on December the 7th, 1941. About 7:50 or thereabouts, I went up to the top side, and about that time they sounded general quarters, and I heard an explosion on the ship next to us, which was the USS West Virginia. I arrived at my battle station, and the first bomb landed on turret 2. A couple of minutes later, the bomb hit turret 3, about 35 feet from where I was.
The memories that I have are of the ships exploding. Saw the Arizona go boom. Saw the West Virginia and the Oklahoma go over and then back over. When you see a battleship turn over and roll over, and guys falling out and jumping into the water, into the flames, that's the memories I have.
That's mainly what the operation was for, to make the Japanese start thinking, well, are they hitting Guadalcanal or are they hitting over there in the Marshall Gilberts? And there were about 200 of us, 100 on one sub and 110 on the other. There were 10 boats on each sub, and we'd inflate them by hand and put them in the water and then make for the beach, which is what we did when we hit Macon Island. Sergeant Clark was in front of me. I was facing the machine gun, feeding the ammunition at the time. And all of a sudden I heard a pop, and his head went sideways, and he's looking at me, and I realized he had a one right between the eyes. About that time, I think it was Parsons, he kind of got up on his haunches and shot that Japanese out of the coconut palm. After we got into the evening, which was time to leave, get back to the subs, there were 61 still left on the island. A lot of them were wounded. They couldn't get off the island because of the surf. Well, we were lucky enough to get aboard the sub, so they asked for volunteers to go back and started hitting a little bit rougher water outside the lagoon. And we were supposed to meet the sub at 10:30 that night and unloaded all of the wounded, and everybody got aboard the sub. And we left a few fellas behind.